What is one of the world's largest credit card companies doing to meet the demands of the future? That is the subject of today's edition of Inside AB. Jeremy Lawrence here, joined in the studio by Bernd Debusmann. Bernd, you recently had the pleasure of going to Spain to an innovation event led by Mastercard. Tell us what they were talking about.
Well, it's interesting because I think most people still associate Mastercard with credit cards because it's a very old company that dates back from the 60s, and they're mostly known for that payment technologies. But now they see themselves as a technology company, and they're doing all sorts of different things, not necessarily in the payment space even, to bring efficiencies and technology into different aspects of the economy.
Right, what sort of things are we talking here?
So for example, they recently signed a partnership with Expo 2020 as the official payments tech partner of Expo 2020. And what that means is they're going to use all sorts of different technology, for example, augmented reality, voice shopping, contactless payment solutions, with the idea being that from the minute you decide you want to come to Expo to the minute you actually get to Dubai, get a hotel room, go to the Expo site, figure out which pavilion you're going to go to, figure out what you want to buy, what you want to eat. Mastercard will facilitate that, so it's a very easy process that can be done essentially on a mobile phone or, for example, an iPad. So, I mean, it's interesting, and that's the sort of concept they're trying to introduce around the world.
Right. Can you tell us more about this seamless experience they're trying to create?
Yeah, so it's interesting. They're doing lots of different stuff. I thought one thing that was particularly interesting was in parts of India and in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, they've designed kind of I want to say it's kind of a seamless payments system that brings together farmers and people that buy their produce. The idea is that it's financially inclusive of communities that might not necessarily be that high tech. Like I said, in India or in sub-Saharan Africa, it's active in Ghana, for example.
Right.
So using this process, you can see every step of the payment process. You can make sure that people are actually being paid what the commodity is worth. Let's say beans, for example. You can see in what step of the supply chain the beans actually are.
Okay, so you get a lot more information around the
And it's very
transaction.
transparent because it's not necessarily transparent business agriculture in a lot of parts of the world. So what they want to do is make it transparent and accessible to, for example, someone in a small village somewhere.
Fine, now I understand. Blockchain, is this going to be used in this process?
Well, it's interesting. They have a lot of blockchain patents, and they think it's interesting in terms of, for example, payments. But what they don't believe in is cryptocurrencies necessarily. He said that's kind of like gambling in his eyes. But they are looking at that technology to see what applications in payments it could go for, or for example, in knowing your customer, because of course it's a very safe, secure system in theory.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like Mastercard have got big plans, and I suppose all the credit card companies, the major ones, will be following suit.
I think so, and I think especially in this region, they're going to be looking for more partnerships. I mean, they're very active in the UAE, obviously, as the Dubai Expo partnership shows. They're very active in Saudi Arabia. They've recently announced a system there that allowed millions of people to shop online for the first time. And now it's contactless payment solutions as well across Saudi Arabia and tens of thousands of places.
Just as a final thought, I've always thought if data is so valuable, which is why we talk about companies like Facebook being worth such a lot of money, then what's the value of a company like Mastercard with the data that they're collecting on people?
It's interesting because in their view, they don't actually collect data whatsoever. They're just facilitating the process between their partners, for example, a store or Expo, and the customer. But Mastercard themselves doesn't actually have the data of either of those parties.
Oh, interesting. Right, Bernd, well, thanks for running us through that.
Thank you.
You've been watching Inside AB. Please do join in the conversation. Tell us what you think about this subject and anything else that you see on our YouTube page. We're here every weekday at 10 a.m. Do join us again.